If your dick were a car, how adding a steering wheel, brakes, and a fuel gauge would be a wise thing to do. Would you buy a car without those accessories? You would not. The dick has caused a lot of destruction in the world. If you ask a woman who is responsible for the conditions in the world, she will tell you men are, because men fight, men go to war, men molest, men kill, men rape, men slap, men shoot, men, men, men. Men are the culprits of the conditions of society. We don't even have to fight about it. We don't even have to discuss it. Testosterone, sex energy is what pushes a man to act like an animal. When the sex energy goes unchecked, it will destroy that man's environment, the people in it, his society, and eventually it will destroy the man himself. I am arguing with you that you need dick management. You need to wake up to your sexual energy. You need to take the philosophy or to embrace the philosophy that the energy that is within you, that's flowing through your dick, you need to manage that. You need to become responsible of that dynamo in you. I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. You are in the right place. If your sexual energy is out of whack, unbalanced, and all over the place, and you are masturbating, ejaculating, and having sex more than once a week, it means that most likely you won't be able to manage your money. Most likely you won't be able to manage your success. Most likely you won't be able to manage your time, because managing your time and your finances depend heavily on your cerebral abilities. They depend heavily on your cognitive functions. But when you keep releasing, your cognitive functions are impaired. So if your cognitive functions are impaired, it is next to impossible to manage well your finances, your time, and your relationships in your life. I myself did not start to feel like a man. That means grounded in myself, know what I want, and call the shots in my life until I started to manage my sexual energy. Until I refrained from jerking off every time and even having sex with a woman and ejaculating every time. So basically, when I started to retain my semen, my life changed. I became a man of power. I became a man of will. I became a man of decision making, problem solving. I became a man of endurance, a man of patience, a man of the ability to follow through. Really, the essence of masculinity will not come to you until you start to manage your sex drive. Until you start to manage your sexual energy, you will not know who you are. You will not discover the beauty of life that lies within your mind and within your spirit. You will not discover how large you are. You will not discover the dreams and the visions that lie dormant in your on consciousness. Your sexual energy is your life force. It is the essence of who you truly are. You are not anything else. You know that. When you are horny, as soon as you release that tension, you feel lifeless, demotivated, distracted, all over the place, disconnected, out of loop, out of whack. You feel like you don't know who you are anymore. So then, the cure is to learn to find that sweet spot. There is a sweet spot. When you are horny and you don't want to release, you feel like you are between a rock and a hard place. It's a tough place to be in. I know because I live it almost every day now, for a few years now. It feels like, man, I want to release that tension, but within that tension is where I feel most alive. In that tension is where I feel more intelligent, more powerful. And yet I want to release it. And yet my body is pushing me to release it. And yet my brain is having a deal conversation with me. My brain is negotiating with me. But there is a sweet spot. There is a sweet spot. Yes, there is a time when a man must go monk. That is, no sexual activities for a time, for a determined time, so that you can cultivate your sexual energy, so that you can build sexual energy in that season. But afterwards, you will fall back, or you can create a schedule. I say no more than once a week for those who whose desire is not to go all the way in. My desire is to go all the way in, baby. My desire is to have the most masculine power possible in my being. So I go months without this thing. I go months holding it in. But if you just, and especially in the beginning stage, it's recommended to go once a week, and then you can go once every 2 weeks, then once a month, and once every 2 months. You get the idea. Once every quarter. I am going for a very long time, because semen retention is the juice of a man's life. It is the ultimate manifestation of your masculinity. It is the ultimate manifestation of the alpha psyche within you. So today, we are going to read a chapter from this book. It is not my book, it's a book that I came across years ago. It has helped to illuminate my masculine understanding. It has helped me greatly in the area of managing my sexual energy, and also of understanding what happens within me when I'm horny, and how my sexual energy, if not managed, if they go unmanaged, the destruction that they cause. The date has caused a lot of destruction in the world. If you ask a woman who is responsible for the conditions in the world, she will tell you men are, because men fight, men go to war, men molest, men kill, men rape, men slap, men shoot, men. Men are the culprits of the conditions of society. We don't even have to fight about it. We don't even have to discuss it. Testosterone, sex energy, is what pushes a man to act like an animal. When the sex energy goes unchecked, it will destroy that man's environment, the people in it, his society, and eventually it will destroy the man himself. Whether that means that man goes to jail for a long time, or whether he destroys himself by indulging into drugs and never recover, or he gets killed. Either way, a man's sexual energy is the culprit. That's the party responsible for that man's livelihood. You understand? So, how to manage your date? Destructive impulses, cyberkinetics. Redirect sexual energy and discover your more spiritually enlightened, evolved sex by Sean Joseph O'Reilly. You can check that book on Amazon. I will remember to put a link. That link is not an affiliate link. I won't make money on that. I'm just sharing this information with you so that you can have the same understanding that I have. My goal is to help you, to help your eyes be as open as mine are. Let's start. We're going to read chapter 1. Chapter 1 is an argument for dick management. And then that's my rationale for making this video today. I am arguing with you that you need dick management. You need to wake up to your sexual energy. You need to take the philosophy, or to embrace the philosophy, that the energy that is within you, that's flowing through your dick, you need to manage that. You need to become responsible of that dynamo in you. It's a dynamic power that you have. That thing can set your whole life on fire, including your environment, the people in your life, and all your own life. It's a lethal weapon that you are carrying around. Recently in the news, if you saw what happened with that 27-year-old Richard, what was his last name? I don't remember, who got killed by the police. I mean, he fought both men and literally punched the man and ran away. That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of power, and of course, all that in a man is due to testosterone and his sexual energy. Absolutely, it's a power unlike any other. So, just as we would want to manage any other form of power, like a position at work, money, time, um, this energy is the foundation of all other energies, or it is the foundation of all other power. So let's see what Sean has to say in his argument for dick management. Art, like morality, consists in drawing the line somewhere. That's the quote that he starts the chapter with. Art, like morality, consists in drawing the line somewhere. A line must be drawn somewhere in everything that we do. And that line is balance. That line is moderation. A line of balance and moderation must be drawn somewhere. We cannot just keep going to the other extreme in satisfying our primitive urges, our sexual urges. Let's read. Each man who has a dick and every woman who loves him and must deal with him think they know enough to use the equipment properly without an instruction manual. The dick appears to be user friendly. No need to learn how it works. No need to learn how it works. what it should be doing or what it should not be doing. You assume that your dick will find its own way in the world. It is after not it is after all not a shy organ, nor an overly complicated one, and it certainly seems to have a simple enough agenda. You just use it whenever and wherever the urge takes you. What could be simpler? Of course, right? That's how we feel as when we grew up in the world as young boys and then into adulthood. We just, hey, I mean, I just get horny and just put this thing into a warm place and until it explodes. What could be dangerous about that? There's nothing dangerous about that. In fact, it's the most natural thing to do, right? We just use it whenever the urge comes on us, and a woman dealing with us just use it. She just, whether she's sucking on it, spitting on it, slapping her face with it, and she just slide it in into her vagina or wherever else you guys are nasty out there. So, but the truth of the matter is, we just assume it's a simple dealing. Sexual acts are just simple dealings, but we know they are not. Um, Due to the dangers and problems that ensue. Okay. Now, imagine getting into a new car that didn't have a steering wheel, brakes, or a fuel gauge. If a salesperson presented this to you as as a complete automobile, you would think he or she was insane. Your dick is just like that. It comes without steering, haha, brakes, or a fuel gauge. I would say the only fuel gauge that you have with that your dick has is when you're horny. When you're horny, it's like you feel like you're full. Like, oh my God, I'm full. I'm horny. I'm uh filled with sex energy. I'm pent up with sex energy, and it's time to bust it out and release that tension. These are accessories that you must personally add to your rod in order to increase its usefulness. So you must add a steering wheel, brakes, and a fuel gauge to your rod in order to increase its usefulness. Much can be elaborated on this one sentence. Wow. If you want to increase the usefulness of your dick, you must decidedly, consciously choose to add a steering wheel, brakes, or fuel gauge. Now, let's talk about what a steering wheel would be considered as, right? So, let's say I personally had a man tell me that he is a dog. He said, I'm a dog, man. Somebody has to F these girls. I'm gonna F any girl. So really, he didn't have a steering wheel in his on his dick. He basically would go and F any girl on his path. So that's basically just a ship without a rudder, and then a rudder would be considered as a steering wheel for a car, right? So that's a ship without a rudder. He's just going around bumping it into any obstacle and any girl and just has sex with any girl. So putting a steering wheel on your dick would be, I don't have sex with any kind of girl. So now you're steering yourself, you're steering your dick. It doesn't matter if a girl gives you an opportunity, it doesn't matter if she approaches you, but you know you will not have sex with just any girl. And we can use porn too. You may decide that no, if I am to release, as I teach my clients, if you are to release at all, then let you release in a vagina because that's the most natural thing to do. Do not release through porn in in tissues or whatever towels or whatnot. So should you bust a nut, you decide it's not going to be with porn, then it will be with within a vagina, right? So that's steering. What about brakes, right? So a brake could be considered when you are horny and that energy is pushing you. It's pushing you, and every skirt that goes in front of you and your eyes are following that skirt without you, because it's your body is unconsciously operating. Your body is always operating according to nature's um, law, according to those natural and biological laws, right? So breaks would be no, 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 no. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Let's go for a run. Let's go for a walk. Let's go to the gym. Let's go meditate. Let's go to the park. Let's play some music. Let's slow down. Let's not keep driving and keep going that's this fast, because before you know it, I'm a busted nut. And once I do, then I will be lifeless. Let's just put some brakes on this thing. Let's just slow down. What? And also, brakes could signify if you have sex once a week, then you are able to manage the chaser effect by not going back, right? And that's what happens with sex and porn. You have sex once, then a few hours later or the next day, you get horny again and you want to feel the same way. And of course, those things just happen automatically to you. You don't know until you have taken time to sit down to consider, until you educate yourself on them. So breaks would be considered as no, I'm only going to have sex once a week, right? Once a week. No matter how horny I feel before that one time or after, I'm going to manage it. So I'm applying brakes on this thing. A fuel gauge would be considered uh, managing or knowing your level of horniness and your level of intensity, right? So you are in touch with your sexual drive, and you know when you are approaching that too horny mark, and you know when you are just building the energy. And if you feel horny and you're like, man, it's only been 2 weeks, right? I mean, I can't be that horny, so there is enough time to go, you understand? So you're learning to get in touch with the intensity and the fullness of your sexual energy. Like Napoleon Hill says in his book Think and Grow Rich, and in the chapter on sex energy transmutation, if you don't give that energy a worthy outlet, it will seek an unworthy outlet. So within that statement, right, within that idea is another idea. And the other idea is where then you must be in touch with yourself enough to know how full you are, and when the time comes to give that energy the outlet, or the necessary worthy outlet, right? And within that is also a notion of self-love, self-knowledge, and honesty with oneself, right? Because if you just had sex 2 weeks ago and you're telling yourself, well, maybe not, I'm horny to the point of like I'm about to go crazy, there might be dishonesty in that with yourself. There might be untruth with that with yourself. So there is a lot in that has to do with knowing oneself, being honest with oneself, being true with oneself. You understand? Because after all, you're doing this work for you, baby. After all, you're doing this work to make your life beautiful. So I thought it was necessary to give you a few examples as to what a steering wheel, brakes, or a fuel gauge could be as it relates to your dick, and how they can serve to increase your usefulness, or the usefulness of your sexual energy. Let's continue. If you don't learn how to steer and stop and monitor your ride's fuel consumption, you won't be able to take much of a quality trip down this road we call life. How amazing is this statement? I mean, I'm sure the majority of you listening to this have driven a car, whether you live in America or some other countries around the world, because I have guys all over the world watching my videos. And some of you are very young, you have not owned your own vehicle, but you understand the concept of fuel consumption. You know, if this car runs out of fuel, we will not get to our destination. We know if no one is steering that car while is driving or being driven, you know it will end up wherever and we might get into a car accident. We know if we don't stop when necessary, we will re-end somebody at best or run into a pole or a wall at worst. At worst. You can understand that. And if any of those things happen, that will not be a quality trip in life. My friend, I want to tell you, I did not begin to have a quality trip in my life until I decided to put a steering wheel, brakes, and a fuel gauge on my dick. Until I decided to consciously manage my sexual energy. My friend, it's necessary. I have become my own man. I'm grounded in myself. I have my goals and my dreams that I'm working on and I'm following. Emotionality has been gone. Depression has disappeared. I'm always alive. I'm always dynamic. My life has changed forever. I go places and people choose to tell me, hey, it's good to see you. And I'm only meeting them for the first time. You understand? This is the life that you are about to experience if you choose to add a steering wheel, brakes, or fuel gauge to your day. I'm going to stop right here so you can have time to think about this notion. I don't want to fill your head with any more notions. This one notion, when you stop watching this video, when you stop, I want you to continue thinking. If your dick were a car, how adding a steering wheel, brakes, and a fuel gauge would be a wise thing to do. Would you buy a car without those accessories? You would not. And how beautiful. I drive a Genesis G80. How sweet that car is. I mean, the steering wheel is sweet. The car is sweet in itself. It's a beautiful experience to have a steering wheel and to monitor my gauge, my fuel gauge. It tells me how many miles I have left. And then there is a gauge where as I drive, it's telling me how much gas I'm usage, and it keeps going up and down in real time. And then if I'm driving too fast and the car in front of me is slowing down, it starts beeping telling me that that car in front of you has slowed down, but you are still going with the same speed. That means you are about to re-end that car. All those accessories help me to have a safe trip every single time. How useful, how wonderful. Think about this for your life. Do you want your dreams to come true? Do you want to be a man of character in this life? Do you want to have an impact on your environment? How about to have an impact in your family? Do you want to be the first one in your family to go to college and graduate, to start a successful business, right? And to be a millionaire or to write and publish a book? Do you want to be the first one? Do you want to break generational curses in your family? Then, my friend, you have to start with the foundation. You have to manage the only source of power that you have as a man. That is your sexual drive. This is the best advice you can ever receive from another person. I'm telling you, as a man, this is the best gift I can only give you. If it doesn't matter if I give you $1,000,000, you would blow this thing, you would waste it because you're not in control of yourself, because your energy, sexual energy, is not managed. You would throw parties, you would go to the strip club and throw that money on the stripper's booty, wasting that money, and you think that you're having a pleasure, you think that you're experiencing pleasure, but you are actually destroying yourself and keeping yourself poor. Hmm. Take a deep breath and think about this. It has the potential to change your life if you let it. Until next time, my brother, stay king, stay in your power, choose life, choose you. Namaste.